case you miss, you don't know, let me know. Okay. The first, this is the component. It's called maximum allowable offer. And it's funny. Lola was talking about. We were talking with one of my associates that he just got into business just 3 years ago, and he contributed to the fact that I helped him a great deal in developing and anchoring himself in the business. But all through the entire conversation, we were selling. He's buying one of our properties. Rochelle has a property. I was on the phone with her husband, and he wanted to buy one of our wholesale pieces. Throughout the entire conversation, he kept saying, Mayo. I gotta be able to get to Mayo. I have to be able to buy at Mayo. Everything is circling around Mayo. So Mayo is very vital in this industry. You have to know it and you have to use it. It'll prevent you from making mistakes and holding on to properties and putting them under contract and not being able to sell them. Okay? I'm a firm believer when you know Mayo, it's going to accelerate your curve. It's going to be one of the pieces. It's what I call an essential for you to be able to move across the board. To get deeper into what I'm going to give you for this formula is going to the real estate investment clubs. All right? I always say that you've got to go to the investment clubs. To go to the investment clubs, you have to. There's about 11 in the area. So you can Google real estate investment clubs. All right. You can go to CREonline.com. And there's a subject box that you can click on, and it'll tell you all the investment clubs in your area. So those are two ways you can get to the investment clubs. The reason why the investment clubs are so important is because the investors, the landlords, rehabbers, and developers that are going to buy your properties, they're always there. All right? And they will be able to tell you and tweak the Mayo formula. What I'm going to give you is the basic formula. At the investment club, they'll be able to tell you, yeah, I'm looking for in this area. I'm looking for, like Mitch that was buying from you guys, he buys in Edmondson Village. All right, that's his deal. He wants to be in Edmondson Village. He buys in Edmondson Village. He wants all his properties in Edmondson Village.
So you know what we're doing.
Huh?
Driving Edmondson Village.
There you go. So she just, that was a tip right there. So somebody should be writing down, eat me. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of investors that will clue you in to what they're looking for and what they want to buy. And that's when you want to tweak your Mayo formulas. I'm giving you the basics, but when you go to the clubs and you're talking to the investors, you're giving them your cards, you're not being a secret agent, you're letting them know, hey, this is what I do, what I want to do, what do you like, what do you like? And they tell you what they like, all right? In order to exercise the formula of Mayo, you have to have the ARV. ARV is after repair value, okay? For the agents and for who's going to pull your ARV, it's really the comps in the area. It's what houses are selling for in good, moderate shape. That's fixed up. We call it sometimes fixed up nice and pretty. You guys, when you exercise your coupon, that's what we'll say to the client on the phone. Fixed up nice and pretty. That's your ARV, what houses are selling for. Also known as comps, what's the other thing, CMAs, all that stuff, all right? So you have to know what houses are selling for. It's got to be a fixed number. And then, this is the formula. And this should be a review for some of you, and if you need me to go deep, I'm good. The formula is 30% below market, which is comparables, 30% below, minus your repairs, minus your wholesale fee, how we get paid, minus your wholesale fee. That number there equals Mayo. That's your maximum allowable offer.
Well, I'll wait till you give the example.
Well, I'm gonna get right into it. $100,000 example. Here it is. A house that sells for $100,000, that's the ARV, that's the after repair value, that's what comps say that houses are selling for when they're fixed up. $100,000. 30% below market is $70,000. For this example, $20,000 in repairs. That brings us to $50,000. I want you to be making your target for every deal that you do. Every deal that you do, your target is $10,000
For what?
per deal
To make
to make
your assignment fee.
as an assignment fee. That's what I want you to make. I want your assignment fee to be $10,000. That's what your target is. Now, you're not going to make $10,000 in every deal. You might not even care to make $10,000 on every deal. But I want your target to be $10,000. I want you to set it up in your formula. Now, under this scenario of $100,000 Mayo, $100,000 ARV, we're at $40,000, right? The rule I want you to use when you exercise in the formula is to never pay Mayo. Never pay it. So when you're on the phone, and you guys all see this when you start, is that we're going to start, I usually will start negotiating maybe at 10. And now that, because everybody in the room already understands, we're dealing with Baltimore, and these properties are all boarded up, fixed, they all messed up and everything. It's okay, you can buy properties that will sell for $100,000, and you can get them for 10. We've gotten one for 3 that was selling for $197. They were selling for almost $200,000 in the area. We picked up for 3. Now the floors, if you walked on the floors, you would be in the basement. The walls were absolutely just crumbling all around you. The bones, though, the structure,
Still there.
Was good?
like a rock,
Yeah.
That's key.
like a rock. And we picked it up for $3 grand. The gentleman only wanted, he didn't want any more. I didn't have to use any of my negotiating skills at all. All he wanted was $3 grand. He was going back home, going back to Georgia. He was done. $3 grand will take him to get all that stuff. He didn't live in that house. All the stuff out of his other house to get him down there. $3 grand. He was done. That's all he wanted. And we only sold a place for $28,000. Right. $28,000. Somebody else bought it, and she had already had 6 or 7 houses on the block. So we only made $25 grand on the deal. And we made that in less than 30 days. So I thought it was okay. Some of y'all are looking at me like,
That was real nice.
$28,000?
That was real nice. It's all about building relationships.
Boom. That's all he wanted. So, but this is a piece. You have to know this piece. It's like Lola's run principle. That's another essential. This you must know. Just like I told you, Mitch was on the phone and says, I gotta be below Mayo. I gotta be below Mayo. And of course, I was trying to get him above Mayo. Get him above Mayo. Get him above Mayo. But he was like, yo, I gotta be below Mayo. I gotta be below Mayo. So as a result, and he knows that's the rule. So he won.
Yeah, he was on that. He was
Yeah.
not like, it was like a dog with a bone on that one. Wasn't he was not playing. But you gotta be like that.
Yeah.
And it will save us and not losing our dollar earnest money deposit and our reputation. And it'll save him when he finishes putting his $30,000 in it, fixing it up and all other kind of stuff. Now remember, he's gonna have months in the deal. We got days.
Right.
But he's gonna have 6 months in the deal, fixing it up, putting it back on the market, da-da-da-da. And he knows that if he deviates from the rule, which is Mayo, paying more or paying less, it's going to be 6 months plus time, plus money, plus points, plus interest rate, you know? So they're going to follow that to the letter, so why wouldn't you?
Right.
And it's
That's
gonna
my point.
save you time. The people who forget to use the Mayo formula end up dillying and dallying with these halfway deals for weeks. until they finally, you know, a lot of times people go off on their own. And don't do this to yourself. Don't take the 4 coupons home and look at them, okay, and not call to ask the questions that you need to call. Because people will do that. They'll take the stuff home, and then they'll get a deal and still be wanting to be on the phone. Why? Because they don't want to split the deal at the end. But what you say, girlfriend? 50% of what?
Of something is better than 100% of nothing.
That's
right.
All right. Totally. That's right. Totally.
Okay. So I mean, you know, and that's the real deal. Mayo, one of the people from the other event, he been playing around with this one thing forever because he didn't stick with the mail. So I mean, he's driving himself crazy. And he's calling me over and over and over again, with leaving these messages and sending me emails about the comps and the ARV. And I said, brother, did you sit down and use the mail formula? He put the property under contract and hadn't used it, and now sees that he may just make a couple of dollars, like $500 on the deal. But I mean, still worth it to him for the lesson that he learned.
But that wasn't his point.
But that wasn't his point.
Right.
His goal was, I don't want to make less than $35,000 on nothing. That's his benchmark. Excuse me, $3,500.
Oh,
he wants to make $3,500 on each deal. He says if he does that 4 times a month, then you know he's cool. He wants to do that. But so he's mad because he said, well, I'm not probably gonna make $500 on this deal. And I said, but that's but he's learned a lesson. Because you can get yourself caught up in a loop with these properties trying to guess whether or not it's a good deal.
Right.
And don't let the seller talk you into it being a good deal just because, remember, their motive is to sell their property.
Right.
I don't care how young they are, how old they are, how rich they are. How poor. Their goal is to sell their property. So don't get caught up in what they say. The guy had told him, yeah, man, you know, I redid it. When I got it, it was this. He shot me the pictures of that doggone house. And I shot him back an email, said, bro, would you live there? He said, no. I said, well, why would you think that anybody else would want to live there? And that's that doesn't really fall into play what he was saying. But what I started telling people is, if you don't have a contractor to go with you to price out or cost out these properties, just use your common sense. When you walk into these houses, you look into the bathroom, would you sit there to read your Essence magazine? If you don't want to sit there because you think something's going to fall on your head, start taking notations down. Okay, the ceiling's missing. Look at the room and figure out why you don't want to live there. And make those be the things that you take the notes on for what's wrong with the house. It don't have to be technical, you know, there was a crack in the exterior foundation of, no. If you don't want to cook in the kitchen because there's no ceiling up and it's just wood frame and you don't want something to fall on your food, that's something that you should possibly be writing down that needs to be done in the house. So then if you don't take a contractor with you, then when you talk to a contractor, you could tell them the ceiling was missing, okay? There was a crack in the side of the toilet bowl. You know what I'm saying? Those, just use your common sense. He didn't do that. He walked in there and the man had told him such a story about what the property used to look like that all he was telling me was, you know, he built a loft. So what? You know, it ain't got no ceiling in it. And these are not polished wood beams. You know how to, you know, it ain't that. It's got the brick exposed. No, it's not the fly brick exposed. There's some cracks in it. Alfie is coming in to get his dinner too with you. You know what I'm saying? So you gotta use your common sense to cost out these things, even if you don't have. But he's got it now.
He got it.
He's got it now. He went to the lady the other day. She has the 7 properties. He got those contracts from her, and I heard him on the telephone tell her, "Yeah, okay, ma'am, I understand that, but look across the street. You live in Little Beirut. You would want to come down on your price." He's got it now. So it was a lesson that cost him a couple of dollars, but he's got it in a big way because he learned it for himself.
Right. And so 2 points. 1, never stop. Number 2, use the mail form.
Right.
It's going to help you, and it'll be a 2-step process. Yes, ma'am.
How do you come up with the assignment fee?
That's what I want to make.
Okay.
When you work for yourself, you should be able to determine what your worth is.
Okay.
So per transaction, I think that I'm worth no less than $10,000.
Okay.
Okay.
And the person that you get the property for, the rehab person or the contractor or the other thing? The investor. Are they the one who's paying out that
Yes.
fee?
Yes.
They are the ones, and they're paying it in the pricing of the new, when I get it under contract, they're paying it, it's already included in my new price. So now, $40,000 is Mayo, right? I'm gonna start my negotiating, what did I say?
10.
Very good, 10. So I'm gonna land somewhere maybe around what, 25,000, 24,000, maybe 30, right? All I care about is that I don't pay Mayo. And that's 40, so I don't want to pay 40. So I might have to go as high as 34, 35, maybe 36,000, but that's it. But I'm hoping in most cases, my average in this scenario is right around 20, 25,000. That's my average, right? But if I don't ask to buy it at 10,
How would you know?
how would I get there?
Right.
So now, so I say I get it for 20. Now remember, all my investors are using this number. Right? They're using this. That's what they want to be. Remember, Mitch's thing is, I can't pay more than Mayo. I can't pay more than Mayo. That was his deal. Can't pay more than Mayo.
Okay.
So that's 40,000. So now even though my $10,000 assignment fee is in there, Mitch is still there. That's because he's savvy. He knows better, right? Some of your investors are going to be included in both of these numbers, which is 50. Okay, so now I get it for 25,000. I'm going to price it for what, 39.9, and I'm still now giving a better deal than the 50 combined.
Right.
So I'm still looking out, because Lola always I hear her on the phone all the time. Remember, you can't suck out all the money out of the deal. Your deal, because you're a wholesaler, is that you're providing a good service to them and you giving them the deal. They need to be able to buy this property from you, and they can see their profit in there already. They need to be able to see it, all right? So this is some of the mechanics of how this works. So you see that part. The 30% below market is also has their money built in. You want to build in as much profit for them in the upfront, so then they love you. They say, yo, because remember there are other wholesalers out there, but you want them to say, now LRE, when they wholesaling, those are the people, when they got something, I know it's good. I don't have to keep checking, because they're good. Most of the time when Lola and I bring a deal to the landlords, rehabbers, and developers, they already know that they're doing good. They don't have to keep checking. They know that I'm pulling good ARV. They know that I'm starting out good, and I'm already looking out for them, and I'm not overpricing from here, and here.
Remember, you're not dealing with boo-boo the fool, so for real, before you even start telling them how much you want for it, they already know what they're gonna pay for it. Now because most of the times they're familiar with that area, because like Mitch, they've been buying in the area. So if you think you're being savvy by trying to come to somebody on $70-some thousand on a property they know good and well, they ain't never paid more than 30 for in that area in that condition, all you're gonna doing is telling them, he trying to suck me dry. There's a sign on your forehead saying, here he trying to get me. He trying, all right, and you just mess up. You mess up. You want your landlords, rehabs, and developers hunting you down. You want them looking for you every time. You shouldn't even have to be going. If you get in a nice enough flow, like Ray, these cats supposed to be calling you all the time.
What you got? What you got?
What you got? What you got?
So you do disclose what your assignment fee to the investor?
No.
No.
They don't
Just-
know what I
But
mean.
they're gonna
tell them
find
there.
out.
Yeah.
They're gonna
Yeah.
find out. I don't disclose up front. Like I don't
Okay.
go and give them a paper like this.
Okay.
I don't do that. But at the settlement table, they're gonna see it.
Right.
But most investors, they care less what you're getting as long as you're in here.
As long as their money is in there. Which
Right.
is
Do
like
they
he was
require
saying.
paperwork to prove this? Like, how do they know you're not lying about 30% below?
Oh no, because remember, they're gonna do what you already did.
They did their homework. They already
Right.
know.
They're doing their homework
already
too.
know.
They already know what the houses are selling for after they've been fixed. That's why I said, if you're doing this and you're going to the investment clubs, they know, you know, that they know. That we all start out the same place. All right? So that's why it doesn't make sense to pretend ARV is really 110 when
You're gonna make
the
yourself
facts
look
are-
like an idiot.
Right, the
You're gonna make
facts
yourself
are.
look like a fool.
Right.
And on top of that, the deal is, remember, that's why you don't get all caught up in the repair costs. Because if they're an investor and they've been doing it, they
Right.
already know If you go into a house and people kill me trying to lowball, so they'll go in there and say, "You're $10,000." The contractor already knows it's going to cost him $25,000 to rehab the house. We had when we went on the caravan last week, there was some investors on the block that I used my New Balance with and ran down because they were looking at other properties and pulled them into the property that we had. And walking around, he said, "How much you think it's going to take to fix it up?" I said, $20,000. We had already went in there, looked at it, like he said, sniffed it out, figured out what was going on. After he finished doing his looking around, he said, "Yeah, you were right. Between 17, he even went down between 17 and $20,000.
Right.
So now, if I had came at him and told him $5,000, you know what kind of fool I would have looked like.
Yeah.
You got to be honest. Again, it's the same integrity, ethics piece runs through it over and over and over again. One thing I want to make sure you guys remember, and that it was helpful for me to remember when Haywood, because Haywood was my mentor. Okay, so it was helpful for me to remember the 30% below. Explain to them the 20%, that whole thing.
Right, the mechanics of what's the functioning piece of the 30% below market. Very simple. The investor is always trying to make 20%.
Write that down.
Right. So the investor always wants to make 20% of the ARV. That's their goal. They want to walk away out of the 30% total. Their goal is to walk away with 20%. That's their goal. They want to walk away with 20 grand in this deal. They want to walk away with 20. The 10% or the 10 grand is for the points, closing, all your functioning,
Giveaways.
giveaways, even if they knock down a wall and they say, "Oops, oh my goodness." So, and there's another breakdown of the whole 10%. I don't think you really need to know it, but like 3% is for closing costs. Another 2% is for the points and your hard money lender and your hard money fees and all other kind of stuff is in there. 3% is for incidentals, again, knocking down a wall and finding that there was a pipe broken that you didn't know was broken, things like that.
Y'all all watch Flip That House. I know y'all watch Flip That House.
Okay, y'all
And that's
do?
what. And so
Okay.
when you
There
watch
you go.
Flip That House, you know when the person is going through the process and they go to knock down the wall and they say, "Oh my God, I didn't know
Always
that there was
something.
rotten
There
mold
you
in
go.
there." That's what he's talking about.
And I never watched that stuff.
No,
I
he
never,
doesn't watch it.
But
I do.
Me too.
because I've experienced enough of it for real. Right? Bam! Oh my goodness! Can you believe? Bam! Right? So that's what's in the mechanics of. Well, you come out of the 20% is what they want to make. They want to clear that. That's what they want to net, not gross, net. The 10% is for all your financial costs. I forget the term though. Your operating costs and all those
Incidental, not incidental.
not incidentals, but I mean it's just for your operating costs.
There is a word for it.
There is a. I don't know why it escapes me now. And that's what the whole point of the 30% below market is. All right. They want to net 20%. They can net 20%. They good. All right. That's what they want to get away with. That's what they want to walk away with. Now, of course, you know that if you're below $10,000 in ARV and you're working around houses that's only going to sell for $60,000, $70,000, and all that kind of stuff, the numbers get a little bit skewed because they want to come away with 20. They don't want to be in a project for 3 months and they're going to make less than 20 grand. Okay, so the numbers will get skewed. The numbers also with Mayo would get skewed if you're above 300,000. But right now we don't need to deal with that. We're dealing with KISS. Keep it simple, silly.
We know what the real answer is.
But you see my point. I want to just keep it simple. I mean, when you get a little bit sophisticated and you start doing multi-units and you're doing, well, multi-units is on a whole different thing anyway. But when you're dealing with above 300,000, then you can make adjustments in the Mayo. But then again, that's why I want you at the RIAs, at the investment clubs and the RIAs, so that you can be talking to these guys and you can say, well, at 500,000, what does this number really need to be? All right. In Boston, they say that this number is 40% below market. That's the way they've done business forever.
I want to actually, eventually, I think I'm going to do a class, have us do a class and invite a couple of contractors and invite some landlords and some rehabbers. Because one of the things that you got to get with this is you got to think like they think. The best wholesaler is in their head. Like he said, when you go into the REIAs, people go to the REIAs all the time. And they just kind of sit around and look and then come back and say, I didn't know what to do when I went there. Well, what you're supposed to be doing is talking to the people who you want to sell to.
That's right.
The best, the most unbelievable player, I hate to use the word player, but the fella out there who gets the most girls is the one who grew up around women or who people taught how to think like women think. Okay? Because he can do what? He can get into your head. He knows that if he tells you how gorgeous you are, how smart you are enough times that you'll be grinning and be his best friend, right? Well, you want to be able to be a buyer player, okay? You want to be able to get into their heads to find out what makes them tick, what they're looking for, what motivates them, why they shy away from certain things, you know what I'm saying? What do they get excited about? What are they looking for in a wholesaler? You want to know that stuff. And the way you find that out is to get out there, meet, and talk to them. You're not going to find out what a buyer thinks by talking to sellers. You're not going to find it out by reading a book.
You're not. And that's why I don't even want to tell you, go buy a cost out book. You know, there's a whole lot of these handyman books that you can buy, and they'll tell, I mean, the whole book is this thick, and they're telling you about what the CV pipes cost, what this pieces cost, and forget about that. Walk with a contractor through your house. I used to make believe, and there's no contractors in the room, so I can say this clearly. I used to have the contractors believe that I was going to have them renovate the problem.
Again, crippling truth?
Yeah, right. So I used to tell, you know, and I would walk through the house with them so that they can give me, and I can, what's this, what's that, why do you put that down, what is that, what's that, what did it mean when you saw it stink, everything. I mean, it was annoying to them.
But you were getting what you wanted.
Until and I'm sorry to say. So
No,
Dr. Smallwood,
So you
get me on that one. I mean, huh?
So you don't pay the contractors to just look at the house and
If they think that they're gonna do
The work.
the work,
They give you estimate.
they're giving you a free estimate. And then later on they got winded. Some of them would never come no more. They wouldn't come to me anymore. But I didn't, after a while, I'm telling you, I
Then
did
you
this for
figured
about
it out.
3 months straight. And after that, I didn't need it anymore.
So you can
because-
figure it out pretty quickly.
Yeah, it's not that hard to really figure out what's it going to take to do a tar roof. What's it going to take to do a flat tar roof? What is it going to take to do just take off the top and put on it's just not going to, you know, it's just not.
Can you finish this scenario here? Like, okay, so let's just say hypothetically, you start below Mayo. So what do you suggest to you said start at 10. So what do you think might typically, you said maybe 20, 25 is what you end up with.
Average, yeah.
Okay, and so, but you sign paperwork for that.
That's right.
Meaning the contract, but
That's
you
right.
know, you don't pay 25,000.
No, remember, you have the contract now, and all we simply doing is writing the contract for
And
it.
there's an addendum in there with the dollar earnest money.
It
With
shows
a dollar
it.
earnest money.
And remember,
we
you're
sell
going to
it
go
to
with
an investor.
60 banking days, so you're out, right? So you're writing in the contract.
And you all can mark it up if you want to. I'll email you a blank contract. If you want to take that contract out and mark it up,
Right.
to make notations about what it is. If you want to write 60 banking days in the spaces, you go ahead and do that. And I'll email you a blank.
And we can go over a contract. I got enough time that we can go over one contract.
I'm gonna ask
Go
you
ahead.
about, okay.
And then, so then what do you, how much would you, say you did the contract for $25,000.
Right.
How much do you sell it to the investor?
What is that based on? Looking at that board right there, and from what we said, yeah, I'm gonna do it to you. What's that based on? Yes, you do. You're using what? What's that top word?
ARV.
You're using ARV. So you need to find out what the comps for, what a property's selling for, all fixed up and pretty. Write that down. Your ARV is your, make everything, for me, you know, like Kayla says, everything as if you were, what, a third grader.
Right. I teach from, because I'm not a teacher, but I teach from where I learned from. I learned from the third. Is it okay to say it?
You said it already.
All right, from the third grade level.
So yeah, so make it that simple. All fixed up and pretty if you need to put AFP, I don't care, all fixed up and pretty, is ARV. Okay, so you're gonna look from that number. So you're gonna say, and so for here, for all these purposes, all fixed up and pretty is $100,000.
And that's
Okay.
what I tell the investor.
No.
You don't tell them. They know that already.
They already know. Okay.
Their goal is, remember, the
20%.
investor's goal is to sell this property for this amount after they finish putting in their repair work. All right? So when they put in their repair work, their goal is to sell it for this. So even if, say that I sell it to them, because I think your question is, what do I price it for
Right.
Right.
the investor to buy it at?
Yes.
All right, and I think I had said right around $40,000, $39.95. I write every number at $39.97, and all my numbers with a 7. All right, all my numbers and with a 7. Oh, psychological is big time.
So that's what I would sell it to the investor for?
Exactly.
If that's what your ARV supported.
Right.
If your ARV said that nothing on the block is not selling over $35,000, you got it for 10, or 32, and you got it for 10, and you figure out where you fit in. Remember.
Use that formula there, right?
Right, you gotta use this formula. Now, in some cases, when you pull your comps, Rochelle's gonna send you comps, right? Everything on the block that's in bad shape sold for $32,000. You get it for, in this case, $12,000. So you know you're okay. So you say, you send it out to your list, your investor list, and you put it on all the places, Craigslist, I'll be right? You're gonna put all these places, right? We're gonna, just a list of them.
And how much do you put it out there for? If you got it for 12, and the retail what you're seeing is sold for, well, it needs fixing up, the shells sold for 32, what do you think you're gonna put it? I just want to hear, what do people think you put it out there for?
You said retail sold for 30?
Not retail.
Well, no, retail.
It's
No,
retail
no,
shine, the retail shell.
The
sold
retail
for
shell,
32.
okay,
Retail
right.
shell sold for 32,
Sold
but
for
you got it
32.
for 12.
So what do you think? And you got it for 12. What do you think you'll put it out there for? Come on, y'all, say something.
35,
You say 30?
22, 25.
22. If you say 30 and they sold for 32, nobody's impressed with you. You want to stand out above everybody else. Remember, wholesaling is quick. It's volume. So you want to keep your stuff moving. You don't want to have stuff sitting there. You want to keep it moving. You want to turn it over. So you come as low as you can to get rid of it quick.
That's right.
Even if you got to come under your $10,000 mark, I mean, how great is it to make $5,000 or $25,000, $2,500 for talking on the phone a couple of times, writing up 3 pieces of paper, really 2 pieces of paper, and going to see a property once? How $2,500 for that? So even if you got to come down a couple of times, come down. Never let the deal go because you could not make $10,000. That is ridiculous.
Right. Remember, your benchmark is 10 grand. But you're not gonna make 10 grand on every deal. Everybody's clear?
Yeah.
And I don't want anybody saying, well, hey, you know what? I had them at 5,000, but you said 10, so I didn't do the deal. Because I'm gonna come through the phone. I'm clear, right? All right. Get the money.
Yes.
And if you're okay with a grand, take the grand. But I don't want you setting your heights. I don't want you setting the mark for 1,000. I don't want you to say, well, I only want to make 1,000. I don't want you doing it that way, because then you're likely to make 2 cents.
And let me tell you, you can take your brain and set that. We got a student right now, every deal she does is $2,500 profit.
Every single deal.
Every single deal. And it's because she's capped herself at $2,500 because she's okay with it. But guess what? If you can cap yourself at 25, you can cap yourself at 5, you can cap yourself at 10. So we trying to, get her past that $2,500.
I'm trying to get you guys to set yourself a benchmark. Go ahead. You had something else.
Yeah, so, and again, finishing, then we would sell the investor for this same scenario, $39.97 to the investor, and then how much would the investor make? And I just asked because I want to make it, really profitable to the investor. How would I know? Do you tell the investor, you should make at least this?
They know
They already
already.
know.
They already know.
Matter of fact, if your
They've done it before,
$39,997 is off, they're not even gonna call you.
Yeah. Okay, that was my next question. So, what if in my Mayo there was a slight, mistake. Like say I even took a contractor with me. He told me, I swear to you, it won't be more than 10,000 for repairs,
Okay.
when really it's 20. And so when I put it out there, and the investors know you're overpricing it for 39. At what point do you advertise for a certain time and then go, okay,
2
obviously,
weeks. We do 2 weeks.
Okay.
We do about 2 weeks. And let me tell you,
obviously, I've
you don't
overdone
even
it.
have to wonder. When they're calling you on the telephone, you know what they're going to be saying? That's too high.
Really?
When
Every time.
every time. When they go see the property, they're going to be telling you, that's too high.
Okay.
They're going to be telling you, I went in there, because sometimes going in there is about taking your screw gun, your sneakers, and a hard hat, because you get in there the best way you can. And once they go in there, they're going to call you back and say, you got to be crazy. It's going to take $30,000 to rehab that property. You got to do better than that.
Right.
Or they'll tell you, that's what I'm saying. When I say that's who you're going to learn from, that is
She
who
ain't
you're going to
kidding.
learn from.
That's who you're
They're
gonna learn
going
from.
to tell you,
Absolutely.
don't even get caught up on your repair costs. And guess where your adjustment's going to come from? Your assignment fee. That's how you end up with less and less and less and less and less.
And you know it's only it's only attractive to them if they're going to make their 20%.
They're not gonna ever do a deal. They have software programs that they're calculating
Right.
for a net of 20%.
I see.
That's what they're doing.
Unless they're newbies and they don't know any better.
Unless they don't, and sometimes you're gonna get that person. I mean, Lola tell some newbies she won't even sell.
No, I
This
won't
one.
say.
I wanted to ask a question about the comps. The comps say that the last properties in this neighborhood sold last week, the last month, and there were 32. So in the wholesale market, you go fast, fast, fast. So you don't go nowhere near that 32. You drop, is it a benchmark and you drop 10 down, so you'll be the best on the market? Is
And
that
that's exactly right.
Well, I mean, you
drop
try
it.
to drop 10 down now. Right. If it's 32, you drop 10. I would drop 10 down. Or maybe you can go 29 or 28.
Right.
Just to see.
Oh,
See,
okay.
If it's good, let me tell you something. When it's a good deal, they will
coming.
knock your door down.
Yeah.
You're going to find out real quick. And sometimes the slick ones, you know, they know it's a bad number, but they think you might be new too. So they call you and try to get you down and drag you down to the lowest number that they can get you down to.
And they will. And it's a whole lot of, trickery that's going on. So always keep your wits about you, and always and this is another trick too I would do, especially if you're out there by yourself. Did that answer your
No,
question?
yeah, I just want to know if there was a benchmark number, just like you were saying there's benchmark numbers for everything
Yeah,
else.
I like to go 10, 20
Okay.
above.
Okay.
And I like to go 10, 20. But if I'm using the wholesale number, I like in 10, and if I'm using the retail number, I'm using 20. And then I will adjust my numbers though. I'm always open to adjust. I'm okay with not. I mean, I want 10 grand to be my benchmark, but if I don't make 10 and I'm making 7, 5, 2, I'm okay.
Yeah, I was talking about like when you get ready to sell, and she was saying that your comp said it was 30, and so if your comp said it was 30, then you know that you can put it out there for sale for 20, and you could get a deal fast.
Well, this is the deal. You don't want to cut yourself out of 5 grand. So you don't want to drop too low.
Okay.
Yeah, I want to put it out
Because
there.
you want to put it out there, but you want to let it test a little bit. You want to see who, because like I said, remember, there may be a dude out there who grew up on Clifton, and he just buys everything on Clifton because he promised himself that when he got to where he was supposed to be, he was going to come back and every abandoned house he saw, he was going to make that block what he wanted it to be. There's a lot of that in Baltimore. He was going to make that block what he wanted it to be when he was little. He always wished he lived on a nice block. Always. So you could put it out there for 32. And that cat, he's going to buy it. Because he got a family member that he's going to put it, because he's bringing that block up. So you don't want to go too low, because what's somebody's trash may be somebody else's treasure. So that's why I said if you want to start somewhere, if they're doing 32 and you want to start somewhere around 28, start there around 28, 28,997 or whatever,
Oh, okay.
and see whether you want to come below 30.
Okay.
Because they're probably going to be searching for below 30 grand
Right.
when they're looking for a deal.
Okay.
Exactly.
And
right.
matter of fact, the quick wholesalers, their benchmark is usually 25. Anything that's 25 or under, they buying all day.
Yeah.
They're buying all day long. I want to ask you a question real quick. I thought about this the other day. Is it a good thing? I probably shouldn't phrase it like that. Who would be excited if they found a property that the person was about 80% finished? You know, we always looking at these holes in the walls and these trash. So if you found somebody and they had done pretty much everything and they only had a little bit left, your thought process would be that would be good for the rehab.
Yeah.
No. Okay? And that's what I'm talking about when I say you gotta think like they think. They don't care. Wanna know why? because the work may have been done poorly.
That's
So
more
if the
money.
work is done poorly, forget about finishing it. Now they gotta pay somebody to rip it all out and start all over again. And if they're gonna be a landlord, they really don't want it. Because if they put somebody in that house and your electrical is faulty and your plumbing is faulty and your HVAC is faulty, you costing them money. And if they lose a tenant, not only do they have to pay for the repairs, but now they have to pay what? The mortgage. So no, don't get jacked out your brain when you go see somebody call my call and say, I'm only need 20% more. You'd rather have somebody say all of the ceiling got holes in it.
Rehab.
That's right. It's total rehab. Much better. And people get excited all the time. They call us and say, absolutely, he says, almost done. It's almost done. And when we get there, almost done to that guy, it's nowhere near being done. Actually, it's quite the opposite. It's only 20% done. So don't get excited
This last
about
guy
that.
actually was telling the truth. The one from Brooklyn. He was actually telling the truth about that property.
Yeah.
It was almost sheetrock is up, the ceilings, he did everything all over, electrical, plumbing, everything is run. So he was telling the truth, but 9 times out of 10, almost done just means they ran out of money.
Basically.
I have a,
Right?
Absolutely.
I have
That's
a
right.
stupid question.
No
No
stupid
stupid
question.
question.
Good. Okay,
So
so
let them rip.
we don't tell the investor our assignment fee. However, when we sell it for $39 to the investor, we show up to the closing, and that's when we get our $10,000.
That's right.
And that's when the investor kind of figures that out too.
Maybe,
Is that
maybe
it?
not.
Maybe not. And that $10,000 is in the contract with the original seller.
As an assignment fee, it's on
As
the
a-
HUD one.
It's on a HUD one when I originally do the contract for the $25,000.
No. When you look at your contract, when we look at the contract in a little bit, you're gonna see the contract simply states to the seller what you're purchasing it for.
Okay.
I prefer, now, they will find it out if you do an assignment contract. Because on the assignment contract, you're stating what they're paying for that contract.
Okay, so do you tell a title company what your assignment fee is if you didn't do assignment and you just
They
did
know.
regular
They
contract?
know, no, they, it's
Exactly.
gonna know your
on the
paperwork.
contract.
The title company
Yeah.
knows everything. All right.
Okay, put it this way. If I picked up if they see a contract with the seller for $20,000, and they see that the buyer is buying it for $35,000, that title company, somebody got to be getting that money in the middle. Okay.
Okay.
But you in our title company, we those companies, we build rapport with those companies. You know what I'm saying? So you 9 times out of 10, the smart thing to do is not to just send your paperwork to some ways that you ain't never called, never
That's
been to
right.
before, don't know nobody, because they'll end up giving the seller your money.
Right.
Okay, if you don't do
You
everything
make
like
them
this.
write a contract with you so that you don't show up.
No.
at the It's all verbal.
It's not verbal. You have an assignment
They're
contract
attorneys.
with the buyer.
They're
They're
attorneys.
attorneys.
They can't do
It's
nothing.
a legal entity. That's why you do it through them in the first place. No, they're not trying to.
Aren't you looking? You're looking over the.
Yeah, you're looking at the HUD one.
Right. They send you a HUD one usually the day before closing anyway. Rochelle?
I just want the. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
How does the title company get paid? Because they do get paid.
But they have title fees. They have
Right,
fees
settlement
for
fees.
settlement fees.
Closing costs.
And does the
So,
investor pay?
well, where is that built in this?
35%.
The buyer pays for everything. Like if you're doing a deal with the seller, and I probably shouldn't say this, but if you're doing a deal with the seller and you got on the box that you're gonna pay the closing costs, guess who's really paying? The buyer. Your landlord, rehab, or developer.
Something else? Rochelle?
I just want to help her out because
Yeah,
I
good.
saw there was some confusion. When, if I may,
No, please.
when you put the property under contract with the seller, and then you go out and find a buyer. So you have a contract with the seller for $25,000.
Okay.
Okay. Then you find a buyer, and you said we were going to sell it for $39,900. Okay. As soon as you have that contract, what Lola tell me, send your contract into the title company. Okay.
Which
And
contract?
the contract you have with the seller.
With the seller?
Yeah, okay.
The original?
The original contract you have with the seller.
Give it to the
Give
title.
it to the title company.
Okay.
Okay. And once you get in the contract with the buyer, you're sending that in too. Now the question Hayward said, if it's an assignment, that buyer knows how much you're making. That's when they see it, because when you see the assignment contract, it's revealed on there. But if they just did another contract with you, then that's when. And correct me if I'm saying anything
No,
wrong.
please.
If they do a contract with you, I mean they're buying from you,
Mm-hmm.
okay?
Mm-hmm.
Then it's just gonna be a double closing at the settlement company, and you're gonna send that to the title company too. So they never know how much you're making if they just do another contract with you. But if they do an assignment contract,
Then they do.
then they see it.
When would you use the assignment contract as opposed to a regular
Okay,
contract?
I'm
Right.
throwing the ball back. That's a
Remember I
lateral.
said earlier, the difference is
Thank
when
you.
you don't want
Them to know.
the seller to know. So like remember I was using a scenario where Lola is the seller, and if I'm making $20,000 or above, I always start making judgment on if Lola, the seller, is gonna have a big issue with the fact that I'm making $20,000
I see.
and she's only gonna net 5 or something like that.
And
I
then
make those
different wordings
assessments.
for the contracts.
Say it one more time.
Different wordings with the contract, an assignment fee contract
It's
versus
different
just
than
a
a
regular.
regular contract.
And the assignment fee, then the seller does not sign that. I just give it to
Right, yeah, that's
I-
between you and the buyer.
you and the buyer.
That's
Right.
between you and the buyer.
So is the contract with the seller different from the contract with the buyer?
There's some, if you're doing a straight buyer, if you're doing a contract and not an assignment contract, one of the things that happens on the buyers, the contract you have with the buyers, you make sure they can't assign it like you're doing. You don't want to get hung up in no long, drawn out, them trying to sell your contract too, okay? It says that, and it has things that protect you. The first contract has clauses that protect you also. So and that's the other thing, you don't ever want to just take a contract that a buyer gives you, a buyer say, oh, I got a contract for you.
Oh.
And they give you the contract,
Bad deal.
that contract is designed to protect them. Which means 9 times out of 10, they're going to get out of their earnest money deposit with you. And like we do dollar earnest, we're not taking a dollar earnest money deposit from nothing that we're selling.
Nothing.
We want $1,000 and better.
Right. We
Okay.
start out at 15 and we're okay with taking 1,000
Right.
when we're selling.
When
Okay.
you're selling.
So and that mean and I tell them up front, write this down.